What's up, everybody? It is I, Austinator, you the host of the GameBreakers podcast. Today with me, I have a very special guest. I say very special because he's a really close friend of mine. I have the one and only James C. Drone. How you doing, man?
That's me, James C. Drone, friend to Austinator. We are friends, aren't we? I guess.
Wow.
Close. Well, no, sorry. You had me thinking about that because it's like I don't know. I know you only so far as I know you, and that wow, that was a really redundant way of saying that. But you know what I mean, right? Like we only know each other to such an extent, and I'm not saying we're not
But
friends because I would say that we are. I don't know. Close friends is an interesting one though. I
I
don't know.
feel
I'm thinking of. I don't even know if I have that many close friends, to be honest.
I feel like once you achieve mod status, you become close friends.
Is that true? Maybe. I don't know.
Then again, we have Luminous.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay,
I
so
don't know about that, but definitely friends. I'll say friends. I'll
okay,
put that out
okay.
there.
Yeah, we won't say
Put
close
that
because I've never
energy.
met him in person, so we'll just say
Exactly.
friends.
You don't have my phone number. That to me is like, that to me is kind of the line. I think
Okay, so
the
Paul and I are
parallel line.
friends.
Are you? Oh, there you go.
Well,
But
I mean, okay,
yeah, man.
we're not friends on Facebook. That's
I've
it right there.
I haven't been on Facebook in a minute.
I think I requested to follow you on Facebook, but like again, you don't
Did you?
ever get on
I
Facebook.
I deleted the app a long time ago, and I haven't been on there in probably about 2 to 2 years now, maybe three.
I think this is the quickest I've already gotten on a tangent.
Dude, that's me, tangent boy, master of going where you didn't expect.
Okay, um, so let's get to the real topic.
Every
Where,
topic's a real topic,
God damn it. Okay,
but less.
okay, so we are going to be talking about the evolution of video game music, how it started from the 1980s, from like the old Atari, because the Atari was the very first console. Whoever says that it's not, I'm going to fight you. I don't know
It's
why
not.
people say it's not. Why is it not? Is it not?
No, there were ones before it, technically. It's interesting actually. The Atari was the first one that you would consider to be a console, like that had graphics on screen. But there were ones before it where basically it was just light, and then you would put this thing over your TV screen. I think there's an old Angry Video Game Nerd episode about it. Um,
So it's a light bright for your TV.
Not exactly. It's like you put like a thing on screen and then you move like the light around. It's really weird. You'll have to check it out. But there were definitely technically consoles before Atari.
Okay, so
That was one of the earlier ones for sure.
the Atari was the first one with music.
Technically, I mean, I don't know if I'd call that music, but
Pong counts as music. The
I don't think Pong has music.
no, the little
You picked the one game with no music.
the melodic the little bounce of the ball.
Yeah.
That's
Boop
music.
boop boop
So it's funny.
boop boop.
I did a project on that in last year, I believe,
Okay.
sophomore year. And no, I was a junior last year.
Does Pong count as music? A hypothesis.
And we were doing just like we were doing it. It was in history class. We were doing it on Apple. I was doing a report on Apple, and I
Oh,
had to
okay.
have
The
music.
company?
Yeah, the Apple
Okay.
company,
Just making sure.
not the fruit apple.
You're good. Yeah.
Imagine doing a whole history report on the fruit. Anyway, it was Apple and technological trends of the 1980s,
Huh.
and so um, Pong was, or it would be 1970s. Atari came out in 1970, didn't it? Am I off?
I want to say late 70, early 80. Let me look. Well, let me just look when the 2600 came out because that was their first like big seller. Uh,
That's the one I have.
that's where it matters when it starts.
77,
1977.
1977.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. I was pretty sure it was late 70s, early 80s. Well,
Yeah.
it's weird because then there was the video game crash in the 80s, and there wasn't really that much until Nintendo kind of revived everything in the mid to late 80s with the NES.
Yeah, great music.
From Atari or from the NES?
I'm talking from the NES.
See, the NES is weird, and this was one reason I actually kind of wanted to talk about video game music and NES, and I'd say Super Nintendo by extension, is that they were very early game music was very theme oriented because you had all these like tinny, shitty sounding notes, so you had to make like an interesting melody since you could
Mm-hmm.
only make it like 8 bars long or whatever. And so, but you get some of the most iconic shit, like the Super Mario Bros. Theme, the Legend of Zelda theme. I'm sure there's others I can't. There's a lot of Castlevania music. Just so many different iconic tracks, and that's I think that's fascinating how they worked within their limitations. This
Mm-hmm.
quality aside.
Well, yeah, even in 1987 when the first Final Fantasy came out, that was amazing music. It's very
Oh,
iconic.
the fucking prelude or prelude, however you say it. Just that theme or whatever.
Yeah.
It's definitely one of the iconic tracks. Metroid, like a lot came from Nintendo, especially. I mean, you had some stuff from like Sonic, from like Sega.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I feel like Atari didn't really have any well-known themes. Did they? No, they didn't have Tetris, did they? Who had Tetris first?
It was the Atari, I think.
Was it Atari? Okay. I don't
Um,
know. Atari had like sound effects. I feel like this is Namco technically, but like Pac-Man had some like sound effects, and there's the doo 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 doo, and that had like a
yeah.
little intro jingle.
Ooh, I just hit my mic. I hope that wasn't loud.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
Tetris was first for the Game Boy.
Was it originally on the Game Boy? I thought they brought it to the Game Boy. I'm
That
curious.
doesn't
Maybe
seem
it was.
right. Tetris did not come out
I
in.
thought it
Wait, when did
originated
Tetris come out?
before the Game Boy. It might have originally been a
Oh, yeah, it's not the Game
arcade
Boy.
game.
It lied to me. Google lied to me. Tetris came out
Uh,
in 84. The Game Boy didn't come out until 89.
oh yeah. No, I'm looking on Wikipedia right now.
CNN, I hate
The,
you. Don't listen to
the most
CNN.
honest source, Wikipedia.
I was just about to click on Wikipedia as well.
I'm on it right now. I don't know. I can't. There's so much text that I cannot find where
Tetris
exactly it originated. It's
Tetris
not
was
worth
on
it.
the Atari, but it didn't come out till 1988. So I don't know what it was first on.
That has an iconic theme though. The da 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 da
Yeah,
da
I
da.
love the
Like
Tetris music.
the music that song might have outlived the game itself in some ways. I mean, the
Hmm.
game I would say is timeless. It's kind of a perfect game, but just because of how simple and addictive it is. But that song is great. I don't even know if there's any other tracks in Tetris. That
Well,
might be the only musical song just looped.
yeah, it definitely is. One of the another game that had very iconic music is Zelda, The Legend of Zelda.
Absolutely. I would venture to say this is. I'll state this as an opinion. I think every Zelda game, the CDI games aside, has great music except for Breath of the Wild. I think Breath of the Wild's music is very serviceable, but I don't think it stands on its own very well.
Okay, well here's where I lose half my audience. I've never played a Legend of Zelda game.
You're only gonna lose a quarter of your audience tops. Zelda is good, but formulaic. At least a lot of the 3D games, like I would say Ocarina of Time, Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, Skyward Sword, those games are all very like hero's journey formulaic.
Hmm.
You go through dungeons, you get items, and I've played I think every Zelda game except I haven't. Okay, I've played about half of the Zelda games. Let's say that. But then you look at the 2D ones, the earlier ones, and those are all over the place. But I would agree with you though that the music from the Zelda games is incredibly iconic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love the Zelda music, and it also resonates deeply with me anyway because that was my uncle's favorite game was Legend of Zelda, so I heard it a lot.
Oh, nice. I mean, I would say that um, is a series whose music is, for the most part, actually continued to be iconic. Like even the more recent games,
Yeah,
like early
definitely.
2000s, mid 2000s games, have some really iconic tracks.
Well, I know
So yeah,
you've been playing Chrono Trigger recently. Did
I
you
have.
did,
Yeah,
did you beat that yet or?
I haven't. No, I've only been doing it on stream, so I'm not there yet. I think I have a little bit left.
So how's the music on that?
It's good. I I don't know. I don't have too much to say. I feel like the most of it is just like I don't remember it, but that's because I've heard so much music. But
Yeah.
every time it hops into a freaking battle, it just like that bass line gets me bumping. And it's Nobuo Uematsu who did a lot of the Final Fantasy games up until 10, I think, um, or all of them up until 10. And so he just has a really he's very skilled at creating melodies and supporting tone and all these kinds of musical things.
Something I did forget to mention to the audience: James does make his own video game music. It's not actually put out there unless you get on his Patreon.
It's a work in progress, guys.
It's a work in progress, but
Yeah.
he's amazing at it.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. I'm not where I'd like to be, but I do feel like I'm getting better every day. So that is good.
You
Yeah. What was I gonna say? I don't know. I
maybe
mean, I
maybe I'll just place a little bit of your music in the YouTube version of it.
yeah. I mean, you are a Patreon patron. That is your right, my sir.
That is my
Um,
right.
you're right.
Speaking of
Um,
Patreon, you know,
are you starting a Patreon?
I have a Patreon, so
Oh, we're Patreon bros. Super Patreon bros.
was I supposed to like
Um,
give you a high five for that?
no, I was just imaginarily high fiving you.
Oh, okay. So you high
I
fived
just,
yourself.
they can't see us, so if they hear it and it sounds like we high fived, then they wouldn't have known the difference.
Oh, well, see, so I opened up my big mouth, so now they know.
You're good, yeah. We'll edit that out. I'm just kidding. You're not gonna edit that out.
Edit it and post.
Um, edit it out and then back in.
Yep, there you go.
Yeah. But yeah, so we'd talked about kind of the early era video games. They didn't really have any music to start with, and then the NES really brought it hard with iconic tracks and themes, but the quality wasn't quite there. Then you look at sort of the transition into three-dimensional games in the early 2000s, and the interesting thing about the evolution of music in gaming is that um, as opposed to earlier games where you only have room on the cartridge or whatever for 8, 9 songs, they had to make them very iconic and interesting. Um, from the early 3D sort of era on, you'd really mostly Zelda and Nintendo games aside get like iconic main themes, and then the rest of the soundtrack would usually be this kind of diegetic, like whatever. It's just there to fill in space or to support the game, and you have exceptions. I'm not saying every game's like this, but
Hmm.
I've noticed uh, an increase in that over the years.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Can you even think of any? Let's exclude indie games. Indie games aside, um, are there any games you could think of that came out? I don't know within the last 5 years that are like iconic music all the way through,
All the way through?
or not all the way through, but have more iconic music than just like the main theme, I guess.
Mm,
Because I'm trying to think, and I don't know.
that is difficult. I don't know. I mean,
Yeah,
actually, do you have Minecraft? I mean, it didn't come out in the past 5 years, but it's still being updated.
suppose that's fair. Yeah.
Some of the tracks that you have, the records, they're pretty iconic. Like Pig Step that
You
came out in the
you could
most
also make
recent.
the argument that those tracks were made when Minecraft could still be considered an indie game.
Well, I'm talking about Pig Step, which came out 2 updates ago.
Oh, okay. I haven't played Minecraft in like consistently in many years, so I need to catch up.
I haven't played it in a while.
I'm actually gonna look this up because I'm curious if there's anything I just haven't thought of. I would say like I don't know, like Bioshock Infinite had a pretty
Oh yeah,
memorable
Bioshock
soundtrack.
Infinite was
And
pretty good.
the original Bioshock, but those were like late 2000s, early 2010s. There was a weird resurgence in that like 360 era where you had some like really decent soundtracks. Um, Call of Duty Black Ops was the original was pretty decent all the way through. Like Skyrim. Skyrim's a really good example of like there's a lot of memorable tracks in there.
Yeah, Skyrim. I never really got into Skyrim, but I mean, it looks good. I just couldn't get into it.
It it's good. I don't know. I personally think it's a little overhyped in some ways, but I also think that Skyrim excels at um, it's a jack of all trades to where there's so much mechanical depth. Like you can, for instance, here's just an example of like a dumb, ridiculous thing you can do in Skyrim. You can like put a pot on someone's head and like rob them blind because you remove their like cone of vision by putting like a pot on their head. It's silly, stupid stuff like that. I think that makes that game infinitely replayable.
Why didn't I
But
think?
in
Sorry, go
oh, what
ahead.
was that?
I was gonna
I was
say,
just gonna say in terms of music, it's definitely iconic.
yeah, it's really iconic. I don't know why I didn't think about this. Final Fantasy, it has pretty iconic music all the way through. That might be me being a little um, biased, but
Yeah, no, that's fair. I don't know. I've only listened to part of 15's soundtrack, so I don't know. How is it?
15's is pretty
Is it
good. The main theme though is a cover of another of another song, so I don't think you
Oh
can
man,
count. You can't really count it.
sure. No, but there seem to be a couple good standout tracks in there.
Yeah, there's a couple really good ones. There's not just a couple. There's quite a few good ones.
Yeah, but I do wonder too if this sort of um rise in more background diegetic music
Hmm.
um it can be attributed to the increase in open world games as of late, because a lot of games now focus or have a have a focus on exploring this vast open world where a composer can't necessarily score each track to cover where you are or to transition into every other place, if that makes sense, rather than like a
Hmm.
linear 2D platformer like Shovel Knight, for instance.
Oh, I haven't played Shovel Knight in forever.
That's another good one as far as video game music goes.
Yeah. Another another game that's has pretty iconic music. I haven't heard any of it, but I heard this really good music. Is Life
Okay.
is Strange: True Colors that just came out?
Okay. Well, I guess that remains to be seen then. We'll have to test that hypothesis and see if it does have good music.
I believe it came out yesterday or it came out
Did it
Thursday.
really?
It either came out yesterday or Thursday,
Yeah.
and
There I mean there's
I haven't played
that
it
other
yet.
game's coming out soon. In just a couple days. What is it? It's the one by Arcane Studios.
Shit.
Deathloop? That game looks pretty cool.
Oh, that game looks cool. You and I watched the. I mean, you watched and hosted the.
Yeah, you watched we watched the Sony thing.
Yeah, yeah, we watched the Sony thing. Yeah, we did it together on the same couch.
Uh-huh. Should we talk about that though briefly? Like
Yeah,
new shit from Sony?
yeah, we could. And I was just going to go with a lot of just the music that they used in the trailers itself.
Oh, yeah. Well, like I said, a lot of games have like a really solid main theme. Like I'll never forget like The Last of Us's theme, like the dun dun
Yeah,
dun. Dun. I can't. It's fucking on guitar, so I can't replicate it with my mouth. But stuff like that, or Celeste has some really decent tracks, but it's like not really all the way through. Celeste is also kind of an indie game, so that
yeah,
was why I specifically excluded indie games, because you look at stuff like Undertale, Celeste, Bastion. A lot of these like indie games have really solid soundtracks all the way through.
you mentioned Celeste, and now I see Paul typing in the chat, and I know he's going to say something about how that game made him rage because he did it on stream.
That game made him rage.
Yeah.
I've yet to play it. It's on my Steam library. I'm getting to it eventually.
I was wrong. He said Bastion does have great music.
I need to stream that 12 minutes game too. That looks good.
It is good. I watched Paul play it.
Let's talk about what we've been playing lately. What have you been playing, man? If
um,
anything, I know you're a busy boy.
yeah, I'm pretty busy. When I do get the chance, I've been working on another game with great music, The Walking Dead, all four seasons,
The
the Telltale series.
the Telltale one. Okay, cool.
Um, okay, that was pretty loud. How do you turn off notification sounds?
What are you getting notifications from?
Just, what was
Discord?
it? Windows.
Win. I don't know if I've ever gotten a notification sound from Windows. That'll be in settings somewhere, probably. Let me see if I can find it. Settings.
I had I had that issue last time.
System notifications and actions.
Oh,
Oh,
allow
I just don't
notifications to
get.
play sounds. There we go.
I just don't get notifications. I just have them
Okay,
all turned off.
that works. I'm just
'Cause
gonna turn that off.
I don't like notifications.
Okay, so now people watching the
Paul
replay.
says Bastion does have great music, and Celeste made him furious, but it's very rewarding. Oh, nice! I come for the game talk and get notification tips.
Yeah, Paul, you need the notification tips. We hear your stuff all the time.
Hey, they're only notification tips too if you're a Windows user. Anybody in the audience who uses Apple, sorry, you're SOL, guys.
I mean, Paul just needs to turn off his Discord notifications.
Oof. Hey, if they give you guys a few quick laughs, it's worth it.
Oh, it definitely does.
But yeah, so you've been playing the Telltale Walking Dead series recently. How is that? I
Yes.
know those games center around decision making and the choices you make influencing
Okay,
the
so-
narrative. Is this your first time playing through it?
No, I've played through the first 3 before. This is my first time playing through the 4th season.
Oh, okay, cool.
And again, because I'm pretty busy, I haven't had much time. I haven't finished it yet. I believe I'm on episode 2.
Okay.
It's been a while since I've went back and played through it and played. But I am on episode 2, and it's really good. It's got the music doesn't really hit hard until the 4th season. The 4th season's music is amazing.
Okay. Does the music I guess you wouldn't have a way of knowing this. I was going to ask if the music changes depending on the decisions you make, because that seems like that'd be very elaborate. Because the plot changes to some extent depending on the choices you make, right?
Yeah.
Like certain people
well,
die and live and whatnot. We're going to try to
yeah,
go
but-
spoiler free, but
Yeah, I'm trying to say this without doing spoilers, but you know what? Most people know
it's a
this.
zombie
It's a
game. Some people die.
It's a Telltale game. Whoever dies, it really doesn't matter. It's one of those games where,
You're going to end up in the same spot in the next episode anyway.
yeah,
Yeah.
the only part that it changes is on the 4th season. They actually that's when Telltale went out of business and it went over to a different company. They made the
Gotcha.
game better.
To where your decisions actually kind of matter more.
Yeah, there's like
Yeah, the Telltale games always seem to have really cool potential, but it never seemed executed well upon to me.
there's like 13 different endings in the 4th season.
Damn.
They're not.
See,
they're
now
not
that'll
very
be really
big.
impressive.
They're
That'll
not
be really
big
impressive though if the
changes.
5th season changes because of it.
There's no. The 4th season is the final season.
Oh, I see. Well, that's
And
good.
it
They know when to
makes-
stop their. They know when to stop the story, unlike the people
That's-
making that show.
That's the thing. They're not stopping.
What? I thought you said it's the last season.
They're making a comic.
I was literally about to jokingly say they're making a comic book. Wow.
So, at the end of the Walking Dead comic series, there's a comic book there is at the end of the comic series, I believe it says at the end, Negan lives.
Spoilers. I don't know who that is. I've
Yeah.
no interest in watching The Walking Dead.
Yeah, but so, and then they make a whole comic called Negan Lives.
Okay.
Well, at the end of one of the other comic series, I think at the end of the Negan Lives comic, it says Clementine lives, which Clementine is the main character in season
Right.
4.
Isn't she the main character in general?
She's the main character in season 2 and season 4.
Oh, okay.
Season 1, you play as Lee,
Okay.
and in season 3, I hate with a burning passion, you play as Javier.
I see.
I love his name, but I do not like the game itself.
Oh, and I forgot to say what I've been playing.
Yeah, what have you been
I
playing?
just beat Horizon Zero Dawn.
Beautiful music in that game.
A lot of the ruins have like really cool music. Like it's this interesting, I don't know, like synthwave, and there's like mixes of like tribal stuff in there. The music in a lot of places blends the sort of tribal aesthetic with the metal world really well. But a lot of the overworld stuff is really dull.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was actually listening to other music while I was playing it, and it fit way better. And it was like, it was one of my own songs, weirdly enough. And I was like, this fits way better. Like it's energetic, and it made me think like about old games, how the music could really motivate you. But in new games, it's just like, I'm just like in the world, I guess. And for some games, it really works, but for other games, I don't know. I would like a little more energy, I think, and a little more motivation. But But yeah, so I finished that. I actually started playing Last of Us because I never properly beat it, and then
I've also never properly beat it, but
I, I
I've seen the ending so many times I can't play it.
I started playing Halo Wars.
That's a game that
That's
I
pretty
can't
good.
play because I don't have an Xbox.
You know, a 360. Oh,
No.
well, actually, it might be on PC.
Ooh, Paul.
It very well could be on Steam.
Paul just brought up a great thing: the Doom soundtrack.
Oh yes, that is
Just
a perfect example.
all of them. Just all of the Doom soundtracks from the beginning.
Hashtag bring Doom Eternal to the soundtrack to Spotify, please. I need it. I've been waiting since that game came out for the soundtrack to be on Spotify, and it never has been. But no, Mick Gordon, I think, is the composer. He does a really, really good job. Um, and that's a perfect example of a soundtrack that stands alone really well, although it gives me some
Mm-hmm.
anxiety, to be honest. But it
Oh,
stands alone really well, but it also supports the mood and the intense action of the game. So I would agree with that.
well, yeah, you're killing demons.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, what else? I guess we just haven't had that many games lately. Like, there's a lot of little ones, but I'm talking like big AAA games, and I think it's because AAA is just becoming too expensive to really produce. Um,
So,
oh, The Witcher 3 has good music. That's one I forgot about.
I know this is a little outdated,
Yeah.
but let's see if I can find it. Okay. Um, 2022. Or not 2022. That's in the future. 2020.
Yeah.
2020 Game Awards.
Oh, are you looking up what won Best Music?
Yeah, I know it won Best Music, but I want to look at
Was
the
it Hades?
nominees. It was Final Fantasy VII Remake, of course.
The music is good.
The music is good, but I just
Let the Battles Begin is good.
uh,
Nabuyu came back for that, didn't he?
I think I think so.
I've listened to that soundtrack a couple times on Spotify.
I'm not sure.
I like. It's got a couple
So,
really good tracks. Obviously, fucking what's Sephiroth's song? One Winged Angel is like the most iconic
oh
video
my,
game
One
song
Winged
ever.
Angel's amazing.
Weebs need to stop playing that song. Just kidding. No, that's a really good one though. Do you
Um,
know actually how he wrote that?
no, I don't. I know it's all Latin.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, yeah, of course, but I mean, the way he actually composed the music was he just created a bunch of like I don't know how long exactly, like 4 bar like melodies or tracks, and then he just put them all together. Like he basically made like I think it was like 30 different songs, and then he just like put them all together into that one song. That's why it like changes so frequently.
That's so cool though, and it works.
It's a fascinating way to make a theme.
Okay, so
Donkey Kong Country. Yeah, I mean, if we're gonna go back to like
t-
old times, then definitely.
so the nominees for the 2020 Game Awards for Best Score in Music, you had Final Fantasy VII Remake, Doom Eternal,
Mm.
Hades, Ori and the Will of the Wisp, and Last of Us Part 2.
Doom Eternal should have won that, and Last of Us Part 2 should not have won that. We'll see
I
what won. Although Hades is probably bopping.
Yeah, I don't agree with Final Fantasy VII Remake winning, even
Oh,
though
it
I
was Final
love.
Fantasy VII Remake. Okay.
Yeah,
I forgot that you had said that, and then I was
yeah,
in
I
suspense again.
suspense. Um, I even though Final Fantasy
Ooh,
VII
Tetris
has
effect.
somewhere in my heart, it'll always have a place in my heart. I don't think it should have won
Well,
Best Score.
it shouldn't have won.
Mo
It shouldn't win anything because it's a remake. I
that's
mean, at the
that
end of the
too.
day,
But okay, so I listen to a podcast called Play
I've
Watch
yet to play
Listen.
Tetris Effect.
Tetris
Oh,
Effect is good,
that's with Austin Wintory and
and Troy
what's her
Baker,
name? Troy Baker, and then the
Alana Pierce,
Australian
Alana Pierce.
Alana Pierce. Yeah, she used to do Funhouse.
And then there's one more. What's his name?
Oh, isn't it the guy who made Erica? No,
Is it Mike? Why do I want to say Mike?
Mike Bethel,
Yeah, that's it.
I think,
Yep.
and I'm pretty sure he's the guy that made Erica. Hold on, which that game's pretty good.
But
Looking
anyway,
this up right now.
while you're looking that up, that's a really good podcast, and I listened to their podcast
I've heard a couple episodes as well. Yeah.
on their 2020 Game Awards, them rating it and everything, and yeah, Austin Austin doesn't this weird saying my own name. Austin doesn't agree with
Austin doesn't agree.
he doesn't agree with Final Fantasy VII winning, and he gave some pretty good points as to why they let everybody choose. They let the people choose who won, and everybody's gonna pick the remake because of nostalgia.
Yeah, of course. Well, also, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a fucking award show. Like, it's not an objective statement of anything. It's just a panel of nonsense people and then an audience of nonsense people just voting for nonsense. So
What
you can't really put too much value up to an award show.
what I really didn't like though is that the Game Awards, how they did Best Score in Music. They're just like winner for Best Score in Music, Final Fantasy VII Remake went on. They didn't make it a big thing. They didn't give it the award. They didn't show giving the award. It was just this is the music. Then you go.
Well, that's one reason I wanted to have a talk about this today is because I feel like music in games
It's
isn't
it's not as
it's not
appreciated.
put exactly, and it's you look at a lot of really successful games and games that are iconic, and I think even if it's just an iconic main theme, like that defines what you think of a game.
Didn't they have a whole? They had a whole thing for the art, but they didn't do one for music. They had a whole scene set
Well,
up for best art, best graphics, or whatever.
yeah, well, the industry is kind of weirdly obsessed with graphics. Um, that's just, I mean, that's always kind of how it's been. Like, you look at how, like, the Nintendo 64 was called the Nintendo 64 because it was a 64-bit console, and they wanted to advertise that fact. So they put it in the freaking name. Like,
I mean, it's
I don't know,
genius.
graphics historically have always been really forefront in the sort of zeitgeist of gaming, I think. And the music hasn't as much, which, like I was saying, like, a lot of games that are iconic, I think, are at least in part so because of the music. Like, you look at the first one for some reason that's coming to mind. Well, one is Skyrim. Like the fucking Skyrim theme is just like, whoa, you know you're in for a good time. And then another one like the Shadow of the Colossus theme when you're taking down a fucking Colossus and it's like da na 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 na. And that I think that song when I think that game. Um, and we could actually ask the chat this if they have a specific song they think of when they think of a game. Does Mass Effect have good music? I like certain tracks in Mass Effect. Clint Mansell actually did this song in the third one. It's called I think it's called Leaving Earth. That song is fucking beautiful, and he did some other tracks. He's a great composer.
I don't think
But
I've
no, Mass
listened to
Effect
Mass
is good
Effect
music.
music.
A lot of it is very in the background. Like it's just like kind of I don't know. It's very like weird, just in the background space sounds. It's good though.
Watch Dogs. That's got great music.
Yes,
I
I
know
have to
you.
dock it points because its soundtrack isn't properly anywhere. Though I
Yeah,
have it now
I know
through
I know you said that.
tomfoolery. I found so somebody went through the game files and on YouTube they made like one giant video that was like a collection of a bunch of the different tracks, and I downloaded it and I split up each track individually with a video editor and named them and then exported them all. It was like a fucking multi-day endeavor. But I now have the soundtrack on my computer to Watch Dogs. Should I want to hear it?
Yeah, and nobody else does, except unless they did exactly what you did.
Unless they did what I did. Unless they're insane like me. Child of Light had a really fucking good soundtrack. That's another indie game. We can extend to indie games. Like, there's some great indie games.
There are some
Oh my
really
god,
good indie
Animal
games.
Crossing.
Oh wow, yeah.
I forgot about that. That game took the world by storm for a minute.
What
Yeah.
questions do you want to ask the chat?
Oh, if there were any games that they thought of a specific song or the theme from, and that just made them think of the game, or thinking of the game made them think of that song, like that the two are just so intrinsically linked that you think of one and you think of the other immediately.
Like when I
Trying
think
to
of Final
think.
Fantasy VII, I think of One Winged Angel.
Yeah, that's a perfect example.
Or when I think of Final Fantasy X, I think of To Xanarkand.
See, I think of the battle theme in 10. The
You've
battle
also
theme is so good.
you've also not played Final Fantasy.
Sure, but I also I just like Nobuyu's like upbeat kind of themes. Zelda. Which Zelda? Do you just mean like the main like da 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 da? Because that's definitely good.
Pokemon's
I would
one.
say that's. Ooh yes. Yeah. It's weird. It's all these games that are like tangentially related to Nintendo. Like Pokemon isn't like a first party Nintendo game. It's like its own company, but very iconic music.
Final
It's
Fantasy started as
interesting.
Nintendo, and a lot of their music adapts from the first game.
Well, I do wonder. We're talking about the evolution of music. If those earlier games continue to have iconic themes and stuff because they set a precedent in the early games. Like the early Final Fantasy games had very iconic tracks in them, so now current ones have to kind of follow their lead, in a sense, and make more new iconic tracks
Yeah.
um, to replace those because that's what the fan base expects. Whereas something like I don't know, God of War, like 2018, had a really good like opening theme, like the dun dun dun. I can't make my voice go that deep, but that's really iconic. But then the rest of the music's kind of like it supports the game, but it doesn't really stand out.
That's how the original God of Wars are as well.
Yeah.
It's
Hmm.
the main theme is is just amazing, and then you just have the rest of the music.
Yeah. Well, it's
I guess
yeah. I don't know.
the boss
Halo.
the
Halo.
I've not played Halo.
Halo is an interesting example. Paul brought this up in the chat. Halo has a really iconic main theme for sure. Halo is an interesting example actually because the soundtracks in those games, at least the original versions, don't match the game at all. Like they're really oh, it's so weird. If you like I think in the Master Chief collection they changed the music in 2 specifically. But in the original the music is totally different and it's this weird blend of like chill synths and like I don't know how to put it. Kind of like Horizon, where it's like this almost like tribal, like cultural sound. Cultural is such a vague way of putting it,
Mm-hmm.
but you kind of know what I mean. Like,
Yeah.
and it doesn't match this like high action thing, but it also makes it a really memorable experience. No, but Halo games have a really good. That's definitely an iconic one that I think of the theme and I think of the game.
Uncharted, the Drake's Fortune.
Ooh, yes, and that Uncharted theme carried through the whole series.
Yeah. Dee 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 dee
Do
doo.
do da da da. I actually love the how they changed that in 4, where they make it kind of like slower and sadder.
Mm-hmm.
It's good,
I
but those are also games where that's the only really theme I could tell you I remember, except the beginning of 3.
see. I never beat 3.
Just the very beginning where you're in the bar and it's like the cutscene walking up to the bar. It's like dun 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 dun, down down down, and it's got this like guitar. It's so good.
I
That
haven't played
track specifically.
I haven't played 3 since I was like 12.
3 is the best, man. That's my favorite. Um, yeah, I had another series that I thought about too. I don't know.
Yeah,
What was I even thinking?
there's quite a few of them.
There's a lot of games, yeah. You're not wrong. It's gonna take a minute and gather my thoughts. Let me pull up my Steam library and just see if there's anything there.
I
Are
didn't
there
think.
any composers specifically that like you gravitate to, or that you just like work specifically?
I don't really think so. I
You
the
might not even think about it too.
no.
I'm sure a lot of people don't even think about it.
Probably, but I don't really. I care about the music, but like I only like the music if it works with the situation.
Yeah. No, I think for a lot of people it's a background thing. I think I'm weird in the sense that for me, I notice it and it's like forefront kind of because I think I've always been a very auditory learner. That's just I auditorily absorb information. Can't speak today, but so I think for me like music has always had a bigger impact probably.
See,
FTL has a fucking great soundtrack. That's another example.
see, I'm a visual learner. I have to see pictures.
Ah, see that's interesting and I wonder I would be curious to take a survey and see like how many people absorb information better visually as opposed to auditorily and if I might be in the vast minority which is why video game music doesn't get a lot of attention.
Maybe, yeah.
Portal 2 is a good soundtrack.
Which is weird because like it's weird that I say that I'm a visual learner and not an auditorial learner, yet I'm doing a podcast.
Oh yeah, not even a video podcast, purely an auditory one at that.
Where's the irony in that?
let's talk about music across genres. I feel like that's like even within the sphere of video games.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like I feel like open world could be classified as like its own genre of game. Like let's say open world with some RPG elements. And a lot of those have the background kind of diegetic stuff. But then
Mm-hmm.
like there's linear games, right? And then those are their own kind of. It's not really a genre. I don't know. You
Well,
talk for a bit.
you're saying open
My
world is
brain
a
needs to
genre,
catch
but
up.
you're not gonna say linear is a genre.
Well, linear, I feel like it's subdivided more.
Um,
Like I haven't seen a good like open world 2D game. Like I guess you could say like fuck, what's that one? Hollow Knight. That's what I was thinking. I guess you could say Hollow Knight is like 2D open world, but
yeah.
um when I think open world, I usually think 3D.
Well, you have let's see the music in like usually fighting games. Let's just go Mortal
Yeah,
Kombat for an
okay,
example.
perfect simple example. Good.
Yeah, just Mortal Kombat. It's just it's upbeat. It actually works with the it works with the game.
Yeah. I actually reckon fighting games are probably the easiest game to make music for.
Well, yeah. Have you heard Smash's soundtrack? It's amazing.
Well, Smash Bros is a fucking that one has mass, okay? I mean in terms of creating new music for just because you have players in an arena, you don't really have to account for I mean just basic scene changes, but like you don't have to account for somebody going from one environment to another and fighting something and doing something like you're not, hugging each other in a fighting game, so you don't have to have this nice emotional thing. It's just like pump and like going. Let's say Smash is an exception to that rule because Smash Bros has maybe the longest soundtrack of all time. I think it's fair to
Definitely,
say
definitely. You can say that.
that has what 800 tracks,
Yeah. Let's yeah.
maybe 1,000, over 1,000 now.
Something that I like though, in I don't know if Mortal Kombat didn't do this, but Injustice they did
Ooh,
this.
yeah.
Um, there's two sides to every map, and then there's these little there's these little spots in the and they're in the map that you can kick somebody to the other part of said map, and
Okay.
the music changes with what side of the map you're on, which I really like that.
Oh, that's cool. Is the music different? Is the music purely different depending on map, or is it different depending on the characters you play as well?
It's just map, I believe. I
Okay.
haven't played
I,
Injustice
I
in a
haven't played
long
those
time.
games enough to know, and it also has been a long time for me as well. I don't know. I do think, well, some games have. I don't know. I want to talk about a few specific examples because I have a few specific examples of like variation in video game music between something like Horizon Zero Dawn, which I've talked about a couple times, where it's good, but it's sort of just there for the most part, compared to something like the Dark Souls games, where there's no music when you're just going through the levels, but then when you're fighting bosses, then the music like picks up, and so you get this actual contrast between just purely sound, no music, and then this like intense thing. And I almost feel like that works better for both immersing you in the world, but also having sort of memorable tracks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think that necessarily be right for every game though. Do you think there's like a middle ground?
Mm, I'm not sure.
I feel like we should have written like we should have written more specific topics to talk about. I feel like I've been
See,
rambling for the last hour.
yeah, like I said, I usually have topics written down, but I completely forgot I was doing this today.
This won't be our only podcast, folks.
Oh, definitely.
Well,
James
I'm
will
sure
come
we'll
back
do
on.
another one. Absolutely.
Just like
At least once more.
I'm sure Sam will come back on from last week.
Yeah.
Don't know what we're going to talk about because he knows nothing about video games, but I'm sure he'll be back on.
Are there any other topics you got off the
Uh,
top of your head? Because I could just like list games whose music I like for a long time, but
so could
I
I.
don't think that's necessarily interesting in and of itself.
I don't think there is, so I feel like this is a good place to end it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
So,
actually, I said it's a good place to end it, but I completely forgot about the second part of said podcast. You know,
what's the second part?
Q&A.
Oh,
asking the chat.
gotcha.
I didn't.
Okay.
I completely forgot because last week we didn't do it because nobody showed up.
We've rambled for an hour, chat. Any questions?
Yeah. Well, Paul actually does have one. What's the top 3 soundtracks we should listen to get smarter of game music? I just had a voice crack. I'm sorry.
You're good. He also said smarter of game music, so none of us are braining properly today. Uh, we're all having a good laugh. Journey. I feel like
Oh.
Journey is. I'm not braining me either, man. I feel like Journey is the most overstated. Like everyone will tell you, Journey is one of the best soundtracks for a game of all time.
But that's because
But
it's
that's
so
because it
beautiful.
is.
It's amazing.
Absolutely listen to that one and check out its composer, Austin Wintory. He did. What else did he do? He did Abzu,
Abzu
Assassin's
was
Creed
good, too.
Syndicate, which that game has a soundtrack that stands out a lot.
Yeah, I love Syndicate. Syndicate is actually my favorite Assassin's Creed game.
Yeah. I think I want to give 3 varied answers. So Journey is great as this iconic indie game. It was, I think, nominated for like a Grammy for its music, which is like one of the only games ever to be nominated for that. It's probably a different award, but something like that. Here, all right. I said one. You say one. Now let's go back and forth. Give each other time to think.
This is difficult.
You're good. Take your time.
I'm
Don't blow those off. No pressure.
No pressure, but all the pressure. Another game that's you listen smart stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just a lot of the Final Fantasy games actually, or they have wonderful music, but the one song that really just stands out is One Winged Angel. I know we talked about that earlier.
Yeah.
It's it's just really powerful.
The soundtrack to Final Fantasy VI, I would say, actually. That's probably my number 2.
I take it back.
Or that could be your number 2 if you want, or your number 1.
I take it back. I'm gonna go for Final Fantasy VI.
Yeah, you really like that one?
It's so good.
It is
I didn't
good.
play it all the way through, but it's so good.
Yeah.
I didn't play it all the way through, and I will not play it all the way through because you and I are going to. Or you're gonna play that, and I'm gonna sit around and watch you play it.
Yeah, you'll comment with me.
Yeah.
At
least I'll try to.
See, I'm trying to think. I'm literally scrolling through my Steam library right now because there's games I like a lot, but wouldn't necessarily like. Crypt of the Necrodancer was one I was thinking of, but that's not. It's not a big enough game. Like it's not a. I feel like it's not a landmark enough game.
Yeah. Well, I can.
To where I'd recommend it.
I can rant a little bit longer while you try and think of one.
Go ahead. Yeah, I'm gonna keep thinking for another minute or two.
Another game, back to when you were talking about the games that just this music a song that stands out and just makes you think of the game. Doki Doki Literature Club.
do 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 do. Yeah.
Just
whatever the fuck it is. Yeah.
The main theme of Doki Doki and the end of the end credits as well.
That's what it is.
The end credits as well with
my brain is getting the Doki Doki Literature Club music and the fucking Animal Crossing theme like blended together.
Honestly, it's not bad. Oh wait, you know what? I don't know if this counts as a game music, but the best song to listen to, Kahoot.
Fair. I would probably say Phoenix Wright. That's a really out there one, but in terms of like I don't know, that series in general has had some pretty good music. So Journey, Phoenix Wright, and
Final Fantasy VI.
I'm gonna try to do ones that other people might not do. I'm gonna say Fury, Furi. That's like a really dope, high energy synthwave like soundtrack. And it's fucking good. So give that one a try.
The Wii Sports Theme.
That's a song. That's not. People can't listen to that for a long time.
I can.
Gotta give them a little more content. Yeah, you can on loop.
Blend.
Oh no, fucking Legend of Zelda Wind Waker. That's a good one. God, never mind. I could just keep naming guys. Gotta stop.
blend the Kahoot music with the Wii Sports music. You'll thank me later.
No kidding. I'm sure you can find that on YouTube.
Oh, you definitely can. That's where I saw it.
No, I would say maybe Ocarina of Time. Actually, if like genuine answer, I would say probably Ocarina of Time, Fury, and whatever the first one was that I said. Journey.
All right, so those are your three. We're gonna lock it in. You're not gonna talk anymore.
Well, I wanted to bring up briefly. We talked about Sony's thing. Oh wait, do you need to finish your list still?
No, your list is my list. I'm gonna go with that.
Lol. All right.
All of the
My list could go
all
on.
Final Fantasy songs. There you go.
There you go.
Or no,
Except the original Chocobo theme, because fuck that.
the original Chocobo theme is the best.
It's so grating, like in the original format.
But it's
like,
it's iconic. It's so iconic.
No, the
I
theme
love it.
is good, but the actual like, if you actually listen to the original version of it, it's not good. It's like grating to the ears.
I like it though, so I guess.
To each their own, you know.
Yeah.
To each their own. I just couldn't recommend it personally. This episode's sponsored by Final Fantasy. Absolutely.
Square Enix
I
has
would also say-
sponsored this whole thing.
I would also say like most games Hideki Kamiya has directed, like Bayonetta or Vanquish or Wonderful 101. Those all have like really good soundtracks.
Now that we're talking about Square Enix, though, because I said Square Enix, Kingdom Hearts. Kingdom Hearts has
I
pretty
guess.
good music.
Some,
Like,
yes.
it's not.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say iconic.
They're not good games, but it has good music. Bayonetta's great.
Okay, so you don't like the games because I was gonna buy it, but if you don't think it's good,
Well, everybody has their own opinion about it. I wouldn't call them divisive, but they're, I don't know. They are what they are. If you're interested in a game that crosses Final Fantasy with Disney characters, I think Kingdom Hearts is a cool idea that does not live up to its potential. That's I think the best way I can put it.
they always seemed a bit childish to me.
Oh, they are. They're simultaneously childish and immensely overly convoluted. And there's also like 30 of them.
I mean,
Like-
I dated Jen. Ooh, Shade Throne.
What is happening?
Paul said, "Do you like trash? You'll love them."
You'll love it then if you like to. Yeah, I don't know.
And then I mentioned my ex because I dated her. 'cause,
Oof.
yeah.
I think it's a series you have to be nostalgic for, probably, to really get much out of. But you might also just enjoy them. I don't know. Everybody should just play games because they want to, not because I say to or not to. That's the moral of the story.
Mm-hmm. We're just here to talk about okay, so all of my podcast is
our
just
opinions.
it's our opinion. You don't go and say play a game and say that it's horrible and come backlashing at me or James. This is our opinions.
No, come at me, dude. Absolutely fucking come at me. I would love to talk about it if somebody's like, you recommended this game and I fucking hate it. Then I'd be like, all right, what do you dislike about it? Like, I think that could be actually really... Don't come at Austin if he doesn't want you to. Like, leave him in peace, dear
Yeah.
God. But
Don't
fucking,
I'm not good
at
arguing.
me, scrubs. I'm ripped.
I'll put his
no.
I'll put his email address in the description. I won't do
James C. Drone Community at hotmail.com.
that. Okay, he will.
You can find it in the link to or description of every one of my videos.
Wait, can you? I've never actually looked.
Yes, I have a community email. I made it like 4 years ago, and I've only gotten spam on it. I've never actually gotten any genuine emails, I don't think. Maybe Luminous emailed me once.
I'll email you.
At me, scrubs. I'm ripped. Absolutely.
Okay, so we've been on for about an hour now. It's probably
Oh,
time.
before though, I've been trying to get on this. I want to just mention. Hold on. The latest conference, the latest PlayStation thing. There was one game in particular that we both saw, but I didn't realize something specific about it. Hold on, I need to get my brain together.
Is it that Guardians of the Galaxy game that you love so much?
No. That game looks okay. That game actually looks fun.
It looks fun, but like as you said, it looks good as like just if you watch the cinematics, not actually.
No, I have no
playing it.
interest in really playing the gameplay. I just want to like watch all the cutscenes put together because the characters look fun and it looks funny.
I honestly did think like last minute about switching over this topic to just talking about that.
About the PlayStation thing?
Yeah, but
We could go for another hour about it. There's some
let's-
good shit, but we don't have the time.
yeah, I
There
don't want
was-
to do that.
There was just one game though where I was like, ooh, he would be interested by this. What was it? I think it was by Square Enix.
Wait, there's a Square Enix game at the conference? What was it?
Uh, it was one about the girl that goes into the fantasy world and does magic.
Oh, yeah. What was that called?
That's what I'm looking for because I was gonna recommend it to you because I learned that it was made by the team that made Final Fantasy 15.
Um, um, um,
Like that was their next project. Hold
well,
on.
their next project is Final Fantasy 16.
Well, it might be a different team on Final Fantasy 16.
It might be.
I think that's who it was. Anyway, hold on.
16 looks good, though.
I haven't seen anything about it. I don't know.
The Malboros look scary as hell.
Yeah?
Which, that's another thing. Just, we need to talk about, I need to get someone on here to talk about just iconic characters throughout series. Whether they
Characters
be
and iconic
characters,
monster designs would be
yeah,
cool too.
monster. That's what I was gonna do. Characters or monsters. I don't want E3. I want the conference.
I don't know, it wasn't PlayStation Conference, it was PlayStation Showcase.
That's right.
That's what it was called. I messed up the name. That's why I can't. I've been looking for it. I can't find it. Okay.
It should be in here. Shouldn't it? It should be in here.
That Blood Hunt game looked fun too.
Yes.
There's a lot of upcoming fun-looking games, and they're remastering Alan Wake, which is cool.
Yeah, that one looks really good. I've never.
Forspoken. That's the one.
That's yeah. Forspoken. That looks really good. Forspoken does.
I believe it's the Final Fantasy 15 team.
Which I really liked Final Fantasy 15. A lot of people bash. Oh, this is for another time. We're gonna go in depth about this, but a lot of people bash on the newer Final
I
Fantasies
have yet to play it.
because they're active battle time and they're not turn based.
Yeah.
Which I actually kind of like
well,
the active battle.
what I will do, we were talking about soundtracks to recommend. I'll recommend composers real quick. I'll recommend 3 composers. This is going to be easy. Austin Wintory, Danny Baranovsky, and Bear McCreary. Just all 3 of them. Mwah.
Could you type those in chat?
Consistently very good.
Could you type those
I
in
absolutely will. Austin Wintory, Bear McCreary, and Danny Baranovsky.
I'll be sure to put
Okay.
those in the description as well.
I believe I spelled them all correctly. Check out those fucking game composers. They all did like work that I've probably cited here today,
More than likely.
and they make very good music.
There are 3 big ones. I know Austin Wintory is amazing.
He's become an icon in the gaming sphere. He has a YouTube channel. Y'all can check it out if you're more interested in video game music. He has a lot of videos, and he actually has a podcast where he talks with other game composers.
Yeah, we talked about that. Play, watch, listen.
No, he has another one.
He has another
He has
one?
like one that's just him with game composers. Like he'll bring on a different game composer like every episode.
What?
Yeah, like he did one with Jesper Kidd, the guy who did all the early Assassin's Creed stuff and the early Hitman games. He did a bunch of other stuff. He has a different guest every episode, and that's worth checking if you guys are interested in video game music, because he goes like in depth on about the process.
You think maybe one day you'll be on there?
No.
Do you wish you were?
I don't know. It could be fun. But anyway, that's I think all for me. I think that's all my brain has in it this evening.
Yeah, we've been on for...
But thanks for having me on, man.
Yeah, of course. Do you have any final words to say?
I'm putting music up on my Patreon these days, so that's cool.
Yeah.
Making very little YouTube content because I'm spending almost all my time working on music right now. But I do live stream at James C. Drone on YouTube and Twitch, so I guess check that out.
Both links down in the description.
And support my boy Austinator because he is also awesome.
Thank you, James, for coming. Thank you so much. This was a lot of fun.
You're welcome.
Actually. It's probably one of the longer.
Yeah.
Probably one of the longer ones, but that's because we went on a bunch of rants, and that's okay.
Oh yeah.
We got some content. We got good quality content out there. I feel so. Thank you.
We
a lot.
made you some content.
Thank you,
Yep.
everybody who showed up live. Remember, those of you watching on YouTube, just if you join the Discord, my brain's dying apparently. If you join the Discord, you can come and watch these live. And yeah, just
Yeah.
don't forget to
Any
subscribe.
teaser about who's going to be on next week?
Uh,
No, okay. I didn't mean to put you on the
If-
spot there.
if I knew, I would probably do it.
Yeah.
Hey, Paul, you want to come on next week?
Hey.
Okay.
Well,
I'll
alright.
I'm sure I'll find somebody and not forget to do the thumbnail. Yeah. Definitely didn't forget to do the thumbnail this week, and now I'm rushing to get it done.
Well, I guess that's going to be it for us then, folks.
All right. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Paul,
Adios.
we'll talk. All right. So be the best you that you can be. Peace out, guys. Catch you guys next time.